Welcome. It says I have nobody here, but obviously people are chatting, so that's sick. We have the two owners in the shop today, and they somehow paired up round one, so that's very sick. We're going to be on board with them. And I hope you guys like Murktide. We have so much Murktide in the room tonight. I think we have 7, 8 people, and 4 of them are Murktide, so no matter what we do, we're probably going to be watching Murktide vs. X, which may also be the mirror. So I hope you enjoy it. River of Tears, your name is almost relevant enough for the situation that a damn seems appropriate, but even just your name, I think, explains our situation here. But Murktide for Terran starting off pretty strong, getting a lot of creatures down. Kyle being on the draw, slow off of it. Going to play a hanger backwalker, oftenly confused to be a walking ballista. Everybody thought that art should have been a walking ballista, but it's not. It is a hanger backwalker. Just something to note. So not as relevant as one could be. Although it's pretty decent here, as Terran can't just remove it off the board and get in because it will make a backup Thopter. Bolt in the bin. Off the bobble, that's one spell. One more to connive, if Terran wants to do so. Relic in play. It was in the main board for Kyle. Now, playing an Urza Saga, he feels it's relevant to bring in. Also could have made a change before the event, knowing how much Murktide's going to be here. Making it a little bit harder for Terran to turn on the Murktide that he has in hand. Also keeping Delirium up for Dragon Race Chandler. We fetch no activation on Relics. In those spots right there, you could tap and activate Relic to isolate the card that's in the graveyard. If you wanted to. Well, I guess you sack and as a cost, so it would already be in the graveyard no matter what you do whenever you get priority, so it doesn't really matter. Uh, Bolt at Kyle. Dragon Race Chandler. Shredder triggers. I need to like move this monitor. I can't really see anything. Taking a blind guess at what John is on. And Kyle finding himself in quite the spot. Generally, he feels that Murktide's a good matchup for him, and it can be because straight up spot removal is not that great. Is it Brotherhood's in? Brother, the board wipe plus artifact board wipe. Probably know what I'm talking about by now. Brotherhood's End, I think is what it's called. Um, Generally has been a big hit to these Hardened Scales decks that want to exist. They're just trying to live and breathe. But, you know, Murktide getting a better card, of course. Kyle explaining to Terran that he wanted to activate Relic at the end of Terran's turn if he cracked Bobble. which he did. So, making sure that it was exiled. Got his infield. The need to tap it and untap it. As Terran had 0 cards in hand and ending the turn. Another Saga comes down. Blood Moon off the top would be absolutely brutal for Terran. Like, from Terran, I guess, not for him. These Murktide lists generally playing 2 in the main, and now are off of Magus entirely, I believe. Maybe playing 1 in the side every now and then. Combat. Up here, we have Basic Island and Counterspell from Terran. Gonna get sacked. 2 Thopters are gonna come in. Most likely these 2 Thopters are also going to just be dead, potentially. Only blocking the 6. That makes sense. You want to be able to block it next turn. Down to 11. Taking 2 is a lot better than preventing 2 now and taking 6 later from the Murktide. Here's on Saga. What do you plan to do with your fetch here? Floating mana. I don't know if Shadow Spear is an option. Ozolith for the kill, I would assume, on Ink Moth. The Terra can prevent any like relevant spell coming down with this mana available. So Kyle has the potential to play land drop here, 2 mana, and then has the mana to activate his Ink Moth. Which I'd assume is to be our line. Well, no, we're tapping the Ink Moth. So it's not the line. Picking over a Counterspell. Terran keeping a land in hand to pitch to a Shredder off a second spell cast. Going to get rid of a Ragavan. Already has 1 in play and it's not doing anything relevant here, so why keep a second one? Also, this makes Shredder bigger, so it does more damage when going through. Kyle just passing. He has some play with another Hanger Backwalker in play right now. Able to put a lot of counters on it if he wants to. Consider was fired off for the Dragon Race Chandler trigger first, and then Consider gets resolved. Making just tapping Relic not good enough in these spots. Chandler, Connive, a Bolt. Be pretty relevant here. So Terran does have Delirium, so he will have to swing his Dragon Race Chandler in, which generally means he's probably going to ship the whole house, being a little bit vulnerable to Ink Moth Nexus, depending what Kyle does here. If Kyle commits a lot of counters here, I think Ink Moth's a little worse because you have less options to move counters to it whenever Terran tries to bolt it down, if that's what you do in response. Kyle goes all the way down to 5. Oops. A little too far. Terran didn't leave anything back as reassurance. Went all out. Shadow Spear is going to come in for the trample and some life gain. Falling pretty far behind. Pretty close to dead the next turn or 2. Uh, so String Beans here. I got a question on other fun decks being played. String Beans here. He's playing like, um, God, what's the card? Like Alter Brood combo or something. What is that card called? It might be. That might be what it is. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. A lot of times he's in chat and he'll answer the question, but I have no idea what String Bean's playing. I know. All I know is like the 2 mana creature when it dies, bring a 2-drop back, and they just come back and forth, and he like mills them infinitely, I guess. But also, he could show me 10 of the same cards and it'd be any other combo. Here we see Inkmoth getting crewed up. Mirror Retriever. Mirror Retriever combo. String Bean never disappointing. Altar of the Brood is the other card that it combos with. Whenever another opponent enters battlefield under your control, each opponent puts the top card of his or her library into their graveyard. And yeah. I'll put him on stream next time. Don't you worry. Terran Light and Kyle commit all these counters going for lethal, but we have Hindsight of Bolt. I think 7, 8. You got me in the booth. Damien didn't come, which, you know, keeps telling me he's going to, then he never shows. Unreliable, you know. And then Harcy's at the counter. Jordan's sick. And then there's an RCQ. I think it's like the last weekend you can qualify for Season 2's RCQs. I believe. I'm not entirely sure if that's confirmed. Dang, numbers are dropping a lot. Well, so when it comes to numbers in terms of like here, we're not, for one, we're not in a like incredibly populated place. The area we are is actually classified as a village, so we don't get a whole lot of just like local people who actually play. It's a lot of times when people travel to our store specifically. And of course, I'm just going to answer if you're asking for our store. If you're talking about play in general, there's like more to that. But the other thing is, you have RCQs this weekend, last chance qualifier. Everybody's making plans to go to those if they have to travel. And secondly, you're in Christmas time. You're also like, you just got off Thanksgiving, you're in Christmas time. If many Magic players are parents, they got kid stuff to do. They spend a ton of money on that. Like, it's hard if Magic's in your budget and you're getting gifts for people, like that's going to take out of your budget, especially when you're getting gifts for your kids. I know Kyle's brought it up. He's like, it's Christmas time. My kids are off school. Like, I want to spend time with my kids, things like that. And like going out shopping, getting them gifts, watching movies, because you actually have time to do stuff with the family. School's not in session at times. So I know that kind of kicks in. And Magic in general, at least from my experience, I haven't been in Magic very long. It's like roughly 3-ish years. I don't know if you count the COVID year as like a real experience, because like you couldn't really go anywhere. But every time like football season starts, like especially in schools, until about like February to April-ish, like numbers are just dead. It's colder. It gets darker sooner. People don't want to travel as much. If you go somewhere and it starts snowing, like now you have to worry about making it back. Christmas time generally breaks people's bank accounts for obvious reasons. Buying gifts, stuff, doing a lot of things. There's just... Yeah. At least that's just from my particular knowledge of what happens, at least in our area. I can't say that for everybody because if you go somewhere and everybody's like 18 to 24, well, the whole parent thing is probably not necessarily a factor. I mean, going to college necessarily would be. So that's obviously a thing that can happen, but I'm not entirely sure. I would say big events are doing well for the most part. The NRG series did good, I believe. They just had a 15K. We have our invitational series every weekend. Um, the the Pro Tour qualifier just happened not too long ago. Like a lot of people had to travel there. It's kind of the problem when you have a hobby that's at times taxing. It's a lot of travel or stuff like that. Yeah, and that could be it too. Someone said I think people just missed a meaningful in-person tourneys after 2 years of being all digital. Yeah, it's definitely really easy to kind of change your time slot to be like, yeah, if I'm gonna play Magic, I'm just gonna do it online at this time instead of like where it used to be, oh, I'm gonna go to the shop on Fridays or Wednesdays and go play then. But again, I when I came into Magic, I experienced like paper Magic for a couple months, maybe half a year, and then COVID happened. So I've known a lot of just digital Magic, and at least for me anyway. It's definitely been a killer to standard, that's for sure. I got my own reasons why it's killer in standard. Won't get into it too much. Yeah, you also have to enjoy your environment if you're going to go play in paper. That's kind of one of the main things that online takes away. Um, um, just reading the chat. Maybe Tanny's new idea can revive standard. I do think making standard slightly longer would make a lot of sense. Because like when you think about it, it is kind of long before rotation happens. But I think it only feels so long as whenever it's bad and it's not fun to play at all. When standard's enjoyable and it's actually good, rotation seems to come a lot quicker, which sucks. And then like now all of a sudden the cards that you enjoyed, you just can't play anymore. Or when cards are really cool. For example, like I like Winota a ton. You can't play Winota in Modern. And you can't play it in Pioneer because it's banned. It was really good in Pioneer. But you couldn't play it in Standard either because you just didn't have like a lump sum of cards to actually hit or that are good with it. So it's kind of like there are certain cards that are really good that you get to play with for a little while and then they just fall off the face of the earth. I like Lockmere Serpent a lot. You can't play that outside of Standard. There's no way. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Standard's like always expensive. It's like, although a lot, I think one of the sneaky things that Wizards has kind of done, it's helped the prices a little bit, is making like borderless arts and the extended arts and stuff like that because it actually makes the normal art on average cheaper than it would be if it was the only printing of a card. Obviously, cards like Shieldred are outside of that. Because you kind of have like the normal one or Phyrexian. Obviously, there's the new reprint, but you can call that whatever you want. But like, Fable the Mirror Breakers are a little bit cheaper than they were, but there for a while were crazy. But online are like insane. Like, they're even cheaper than they were They're $105 for a playset online. But just play everything you want in Modern. There's more tools available. Yeah, I'll just use OneNote as an example. Everybody has cards that they kind of enjoy. Like, I didn't enjoy it because it got like super popular, but a card that I liked off the out the gate is Hinata. Hinata like casting Magma Opus for 2. Very like oppressing, don't get me wrong. Like that card is that little 2 like 1/2 is pretty strong, especially for like a standard format. It's not necessarily like the power I'm talking about, but I like Hinata as a card. You just like cannot play it right now. Your pool is not deep enough. You don't have anything to really benefit with it. And it'll probably be that way until it rotates out of standard, and then you're gonna have to play it in Pioneer, which you're going up against mono green or like mono red. It's just gonna auto kill you. Spirits is pretty tough for you as well. And then 4 drops in Modern that aren't free and pitchable are just like not that great on average. What's your thought on a combination of... Hold on, I gotta switch these back. What are your guys' thoughts on the combination of a Protein Hog and a Ram Air deck that went 5-0 with? He's not currently here right now. Connor is a big fan of that card. So, if you want to ask him out, you can in the Discord. It's like Condor Reborn. Condor. Reborn. He's generally in the call a lot. So, you can ask him. He'll be sure to voice his opinion. I don't really have an opinion on it. I'm the only one in the booth, so if I don't have an opinion, we don't really have one. I play bad decks. Thanks for the follow. Didn't pop up on screen. Not entirely sure why. I know Taryn was trying to fix a lot of stuff. That's your list. Oh. Never mind. I think you should ask I Play Bad Decks. If they're the creator of the list, maybe they're who you should talk to. I just know Connor really likes playing Protein Hawk a ton. Like, it's one of his favorite cards. He likes that card and, like, Primeval Titan. Those are his, like, 2 big, like, green cards he likes to play. And he likes to play Reanimator as well. Yeah, I would say you might reevaluate your opinion based on the name. Yeah, I play bad decks. If you have a refined list, we can play it as a playtest deck on one of our streams if you want. Give you a little shout out, link your Twitter and stuff, you know? Not saying we're the biggest in the world, but yeah. It's always cool. I like playing content creators decks more than anything, or people that like are kind of known in the community. I think it's a lot more fun. Instead of just like going and being like, this person went 12-0 with this list, let's play it. This is the list from today. I got 5-0. I got. Oh yeah. Oh my god. All right, it's on the bucket list. That's for sure. I'm writing it down on a piece of paper right now. Why are all the papers in this office all important and I can't write on them? All right, I pulled it up on a browser. It's fine. I keep saying. I know it has no relevance to this match that we're currently watching. But the amount of Murktide we're going to watch today has me so uninvested that I would rather talk to you today, chat. Here's the card, by the way. This might make it a little bit easier. So we can actually read what the card does. I hope Kyle's watching the stream out there and just sees me having Protein Hawk up. He's going to be so confused. Very cool.